race of people be a genius? A race of geniuses? The very question is immediately troubling to many. But in truth, that is one of the ways the ancient Greeks and Romans thought about genius. The Latin genius is related to the Latin word gens, meaning a people. In Roman thinking, a genius or a genius could be the spirit of the gens, the spirit of a person or the spirit of an entire clan or an ethnic group. So the ancient Greeks and Romans at least thought a particular race of people might have a genius. That is to say, they believed that a people might have a special talent or at least a proclivity for certain behavior, perhaps a capacity for exceptional human accomplishment. In modern times, such a belief has been the basis of two recent books about the Jewish people, Bernard-Henri Lévy's The Genius of Judaism and Norman Liebrecht's Genius and Anxiety, How the Jews Changed the World. Ironically, this same premise, that one group of individuals is genetically or racially superior to another, and ipso facto other groups are inferior, this idea was posited in the first book on the subject of genius and race, Hereditary Genius by the Englishman Francis Galton, published in London in 1869. Here Galton argued, more implicitly than explicitly, not only that one group was racially superior to another, which group Galton suggested, surprise, surprise, was whites of Anglo-Saxon descent, but also that that superior race or group should be encouraged to breed so as to grow itself, and the inferior ones should not. Galton's advocacy of genetic superiority, as you may know, marked the beginning of the theory of eugenics, and ultimately the extermination under German National Socialism of that one race that was said by the Nazis to be a genetically inferior one. Again, the Jews. Superior or inferior depends on the culture or people doing the judging. Obviously, the notion that any one race or ethnic group is superior is fraught with difficulties on many counts, but I'll pursue it here briefly, if only because it causes us to think, again, about how genius or exceptional human accomplishment comes about, and because books on genetic exceptionalism continue to be written. Here's another recent one, The Triple Package by my colleagues at Yale, Amy Cho, and her husband, Jed Rubenfeld. Likely, you know of her best-selling book, Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. I know of her also because one of her children and one of my children used to play in the same chamber music group in New Haven, Connecticut. Anyway, the point of the Triple Package is to say that there are 8 races or ethnic groups that show a special propensity for success here in the United States. Chinese Americans, Nigerian Americans, Cuban Americans, Persian Americans, Iranians in other words, Jewish Americans, Asian Indian Americans, Lebanese Americans, and Mormons. As to those 3 special qualities that make up the Triple Package, the 3 special drivers that empower these ethnic groups, they are said to be 1, a superiority complex, quote, a deeply internalized belief in your group's specialness, exceptionality, or superiority, end quote. 2, quote, a feeling or worry that you, or what you've done, or what you have is in some fundamental way not good enough, end quote. And 3rd and finally, these ethnic groups are said to value impulse control, the ability to resist temptation, especially the temptation to give up in the face of hardship, end quote there. 2 points I'll insert here. As we will come to see, a feeling of superiority and self-confidence, as well as a discontent with the status quo, do seem to be enablers or drivers of genius. But the 3rd of these enablers, impulse control, seems